Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 5th installment of NYU Reynolds Speaker Series, Social Entrepreneurship in the 21st Century. My name is Sadhna Samaranayaka, and I am an alumna of this program. I studied social entrepreneurship and international development at the Gallatin School, and tonight it is my very special honor to introduce you to an organization that I have had the pleasure of working for a while, whose extended army of volunteers I have come to regard as a second family in many ways, and to an individual who has been an incredible source of inspiration to me, one who has been a mentor and an advisor and a friend. My own introduction to Dr. George actually began with the Reynolds program. A colleague of mine in this program, knowing my interests, informed me that I needed to take a class that he was registered in. It was called Strategies in Global Poverty Alleviation. It was being taught at the Stern School of Business, which piqued my interest, and it was being taught by a certain Dr. Abraham George. Now, the issue was that I was registered for a mandatory course that I had to take at the same time, a course on how to write a graduate thesis. And this, for me, was a problem. Now, luckily, I am a part of the Reynolds program, where we are taught that problems are not, in fact, problems, but opportunities. And so I took the opportunity to skip my class and went and sat in on Dr. George's class, and for the first time heard him speak truth to power about the realities and the issues of innovating and being entrepreneurial in service of communities at the base of the pyramid. The practicality of his approach, the complexities and grit of the stories that he told, and my sense that Dr. George was a tried and true realist, but an idealist at the same time, made me want to take an opportunity the following week to skip my class, and the week after that, and the week after that, until I had to find an opportune moment to tell my thesis instructor that I was going to have to figure out a way to write my thesis on my own. Luckily, a year later, Dr. George volunteered to be an advisor for my thesis writing process, so it turns out that sometimes skipping class works out quite well. Dr. George has led many lives in one lifetime: a military man, a Wall Street professional, an entrepreneur, an author, a philanthropist. Originally from India, a chance to travel extensively through service as a captain in the Indian artillery made him acutely aware of the deeply rooted nature of discrimination inherent in the Indian caste system. After his military service, Dr. George completed an MBA and a PhD right here at the Stern School of Business. He then began a successful career on Wall Street as a managing director for Credit Suisse and its SunGard's data systems. He founded a company called Multinational Computer Models, which was acquired in the late 90s, at which point Dr. George decided to walk away from Wall Street and invested his time in creating a foundation so that he could devote his efforts full-time to battling the economic and social injustice that to him is poverty. The full scope and breadth of the work of the George Foundation is really quite immense. His projects have included healthcare, farming, and livelihood initiatives, many of which you'll get details on today, a successful national campaign in India to remove the lead content from gasoline at the pumps, and an internationally recognized graduate school of journalism. A cornerstone of Dr. George's work is championing children from the most destitute and hopeless conditions imaginable in India. Dr. George has built a school in rural Tamil Nadu that truly lives up to its name for the children of India's so-called untouchable caste. Shanti Bhavan, as it is called, means haven of peace in Hindi, and it is truly that for the children of rag pickers, trash workers, day laborers, sex workers, quarry workers, that without Shanti Bhavan in their lives would have little choice but to fold into these generational professions. Now, when I went to the school last year, I, within minutes of arriving, wandered into the area where the kindergartners and first graders, 4- and 5-year-olds, were playing. And I was immediately accosted with all sorts of questions, auntie, 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 you know, What are those sunglasses on your head? What do those do? Did you get here on a plane or a boat? And there was one girl who stepped up to the front and she asked me a question that really sort of blew me away and gave me pause. She said, Auntie, what kind of work do you do? Not, Auntie, what is your job? Not, Auntie, where do you work? But, Auntie, what kind of work do you do? And then I thought about that for a second, and I realized, I did the math, and I realized that somewhere between 8 months to 12 months prior, this child did not speak a word of English, probably had not seen a Western toilet, likely had not seen the inside of a building, likely had not had a clean glass of water. At that point, I realized that there was something incredible going on here. And it was at that moment that volunteering for this organization stopped being a choice for me. Now, not having a background in education or running a school, Dr. George could have chosen a less daunting way to give back, perhaps. He could have elected a learning curve less steep, maybe circumstances less remote, less dire, but not Dr. George. He is motivated by the belief that the most effective and generationally impactful way of uplifting masses out of poverty is to educate poverty's children. And not just to educate them, but to educate them exceptionally well, and to provide them the tools to carry themselves and their communities forward. As you hear about the various projects of the George Foundation, you will see that Dr. George's commitment to poverty alleviation mandates that he do not what is easy or what is doable or what is possible, but what is necessary. His work is targeted at the populations that most need these interventions. The quiet impact that his work has had, that I have had a glimpse of, is really remarkable on so many levels, as is his candor in speaking about his setbacks, extreme challenges, and things that he would have done different. Not content to just do, Dr. George is also an academic. He's an adjunct faculty member here at NYU and publishes widely on issues related to poverty alleviation at the base of the pyramid. His most recent book, India Untouched, The Forgotten Face of Rural Poverty, has gained wide acclaim in India and abroad. He serves on the boards of the International Center of Journalists and is a member of the New York and South Asia Committees of Human Rights Watch. He is a recipient of the Stuart Sater Award for Social Entrepreneurship. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor and privilege to introduce to you today a living hero of mine, Dr. Abraham George.
Thank you, Sadhna, for the kind remarks. She gives me a hard time most of the time, but today she's very nice to me. It's so wonderful to see a large gathering to listen to my story of the last 15 years in India. The fact that you are here tells me that either you are involved in some social cause or you are planning to be in a social cause and make your contribution. There is no better institution than the NYU institutions that can prepare you for that endeavor, because poverty is such a major problem. We have almost 4 million people who live below $2 a day, and we need people like you who will get involved in the cause and make a real difference in the years to come.